You may be wondering if dividend investing is worth it. Do you get enough money when you invest in dividends, for dividends? Do you have too much of your capital at risk with dividend investing? I put all this information together in a blog post over at my blog, retirecertain.com. And I've got lots of charts and graphs and really great information. I really nerd out about this stuff and I want to show it to you. So I'm going to take you to my computer. Before I do that, I'll tell you I'm Camille Gaines. I'm a personal finance author. I write about what I've learned from investing since my early 20s and also from creating multiple income streams from stocks, bonds, and real estate over the last 15 years or so. And that's what I do. I don't manage wealth for others. I just share what I've learned myself investing and just kind of being a nerd in general around this. I'll see you over at my website because I want to share with you what I came up with when I researched and put together the information for whether or not dividend investing is worth it. I like dividends, so I'll tell you more. Here I am over at my website, retirecertain.com, and here is the article, so just scroll down if you want to take a look at it yourself. Is dividend investing worth it? You could even follow along with me if you'd like. As I mentioned, I've got a couple of charts I want to show you over here, or tables with some information on it that's a little bit hard to convey in a video unless I just bring you here. So let me show you real quick that if there's anything that you want to scroll right to when you come back and look at this, just click right there and you'll see a table of contents and you can go right to whatever I'm talking about. And in this video, I want to start out asking, is dividend investing safe? And the question around that is really, well, is the company that's paying the dividends safe? But then there's also the huge understanding that dividend paying stocks are going to fluctuate with the overall stock market. And so this is particularly important following a long period of outperformance or the stock market doing extremely well. It can often lead to the next decade or a decade, maybe 2 decades later, of underperformance. So you have to understand that if you're invested in stocks, you're invested in stocks. Now, and they're going to move up and down depending on what the overall market is doing. Having said that, it's also important to remember that dividend stocks typically don't drop quite as much as growth type of stocks, simply because they don't, that people get the dividend, so they haven't lost their reason for owning that stock. They're still getting that dividend income. And that's not to say that growth stocks don't pay dividends. Sometimes they do, but usually they're not as known for paying dividends as older companies that are more established, that have that regular money coming in, and then they're able to pay that out to their shareholders as dividends. So a lot of people wonder, are dividends a good investment? Well, that totally depends on you and what it is that you're looking for from your investments. Is it income or is it growth? And I have another complete video on that, so I won't go into a lot of detail with that. But I did want to point out something that I think is really important, and that is that when you buy a dividend company, instead of paying that money out to their shareholders, they're putting that money back into the company to grow. And so I think you have to say, right now, would it be more important to invest in companies that are able to put that money back into the company and grow? And if that's the case, then you may not particularly be looking for a dividend strategy. One important thing to remember is that dividends make a huge contribution to the total return that you often hear quoted about stocks over very, very long periods of time, making approximately 10% return. But part of that is because people did not take their dividends out. They allowed those dividends to be reinvested, and those dividends compounded, the result of that compounded over time. So here is by decade. I think this is an excellent chart, and it's something I really wanted to show you. You can see that these different, by the decades down here at the bottom, you can see, for example, you can see that about 17% of the return from the S&P 500 during the 2010 decade was from the S&P 500 dividend contribution to, being reinvested. It was that dividends made up that part of the return. You can see back here in the 60s, for example, it was 44%. In the 1970s, it was 73%. So keep in mind that dividends being reinvested do make up a large part of that total return number that people often quote of about 10% over very long periods of time. Do dividend stocks outperform the market? Well, I was really shocked by this chart, and let me give credit to Hartford Funds for putting together this chart, and it's based on Ned Davis research. But dividend growers and initiators, look how much they outperformed these no change in dividend policies down here, and the dividend cutters and the lower, these other tiers are just, I was stunned by the difference. And so I guess dividend growers and initiators, those are companies that are first initiating their dividends and they are really growing, and the next level down was just dividend payers. So you may want to take a look at this chart a little bit closer on my website at retirecertain.com. This was a really neat chart that I found as well, put together from Kenneth French. He's a renowned Dartmouth professor, and he put this information together, and it is comparing stocks that pay dividends and don't pay dividends going back to 1927. Now, this was compliments of SeekingAlpha.com, and the writer there was a CFA, and his name there at Seeking Alpha is Plutos, if you want to go check that out. But here it is, and you can see how dividend-paying stocks significantly outperformed non-dividend payers over that time frame. I've got more information, but I'll go ahead and cut this off now so it's not too long. You can come over and read the rest of the information. I've got some more charts and things that you'll want to see at my website. And also, while you're here, let me show you. Feel free to grab my ebook. It's absolutely free. It's based on this whole, our whole adventure of creating income streams over the past 15 years or so. I wrote about, my husband doesn't like to write, but I wrote about 9 of our favorite strategies. I think there's one in there I actually haven't done, but it really, really is appealing. I'm sort of doing it. It's buying domains, but I'm doing it, but I haven't sold any yet. But anyway, grab that ebook if you'd like. It's absolutely free. I will probably add you to my newsletter, which I'm not sending out right now, so don't worry about getting bombarded with emails. And that's what I wanted to show you in this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, give me a thumbs up button if you don't mind in the bottom corner of the video, so I'll know that this was good content, you enjoyed it, I can do more around this. And I appreciate your watching. Thank you.